Be sincere and truthful. That's like my mantra I created after the awakening experience 25 years ago. First, I just put truthful, living truthfully, and I measured it every 3-4 months. Importance rating is 10, and satisfaction level is usually 9 or 9.5 all the time. Other categories are the work, hobby, relationship, health, and finance, and I measure those, called the life profile. But being sincere and truthful, sincerity came from the word from Daisetsu Suzuki. Be sincere is one of the most important things he said, and I believed so. So I added, first was be truthful, but now be sincere and truthful, and I post it in the bathroom that I see it next to the mirror. And I just noticed that that idea of being sincere and truthful is at the state of samadhi, aiming at that. So there's no mind, because if you're sincere, it's beyond your mind, connection to the heart. And truthful, just empty. Then everything is truth. When you use your mind and categorize this and that, then you get lost. What's truth? Because truth cannot be explained. That's the way I see it. But in the Western countries, truth may be sought by the mind, and that may be natural for them. And they can argue a lot, endlessly. And the philosophers do that in many books, and psychologists experiment and chase what is truth, and the science too, to explain everything with the equation. But even if you can explain it, the question is how you live with it. So you have to be sincere and truthful. And that's the attitude of many religions, I believe. And then I'm more familiar with Zen and Shin Buddhism, so I just thought be sincere and truthful is, on one end, samadhi, no mind, no self, no ego. Totally no ego. Obvious. So that's the aim, to be, and you can be in the now with no mind. You are in the state of absolute being. So you are sincere and truthful being. And then I looked at Shin Buddhism. They talk about like a chanting Namuamidabutsu, which means I forgo myself, throw into the house of Buddha, and let the Amida Buddha to take care of me with her compassion. So it's like Amida Buddha is like a God with infinite compassion and wisdom. And by praying or saying Namu Amidabutsu, Namu is let go of myself, Amidabutsu take over. And I see that must be similar sense, although my words are different, but being sincere and truthful must be. And all the research, study, the words of those Myokonin I picked up, and I have many files, and I should be reading more of that, because that was one of my promise to do, which I haven't kept up. But there are so many wonderful examples of the layman. And I like the layman's story much more than those with authority. Authority with the nice clothes and whatever stick or whatever they carry. Okay, I got it. But the reality is to be felt not by how they look, but at the basic level of people to see if they get it. Without that, and you asking for others to follow what you say, and believe me, I'll tell you everything you need to know, and then we push you off the cliff if you're not careful. Yeah, there are some stories like that, occult, but many leaders can get into the trap too, in my view. And my view is just be careful, because if you are well grounded, you can make good judgment. But if you are already weak to trust someone, God of this or that, and that, the leader of this and political system, and then even the science, probably, it has its own aura, you may say, but the reality has to be checked and proven, and I think that's what Buddha said, one of those sutras. I forgot the name of it. Unless you can follow my teaching, but make sure you check on your own to have it with you, or something like that. So it's your own mini universe to live, because all the information you gather is through the bias and the filters of interpretation to many degrees. So your real experience, the sense of being hurt or experiencing this and that about life, that's the most reliable. And next is more of a authority of some kind, probably, that you can relate to, or the books. But you have to check. So the basis of being sincere and truthful is the attitude, but along with that sense of trust that can be developed by your faith in ultimate reality, the process. And at the end, I like to keep calling it as the Lords of Universe. How it's manifesting is the truth of what is happening. That's the eternal truth. And when you are aligned or be with that and grounded, and the core of your being is related to that, that is the state, I call it the eternal home, because it's absolute. But one more thing I want to say before I finish this is that people call non-duality, or absolute state, I like to call it, because non-duality sounds too conceptual. And the conceptual means the reality of that experience may be translated in the concept, and that there's a danger. Like I said, the truth cannot be expressed by the word or the idea unless you get it, meaning direct experience of it. And when you have it, you have a foundation principle, the laws of nature. You cannot go anything beyond that. You can call that as God. That might fit. But what is wonderful about Namuamidabutsu and Amida Buddha is that even the sinners can be saved. So there's no judgment, compassion beyond judgment. Sinners, if sinners are not helped, what's the point? Not to say sinning is right, but therefore there's the process of letting go for Amida. So ego has to be gone. Self-identity has to be gone, which basically means you're emptying your mind for the faith of Amida. So that's the ultimate, that you have a faith, not the one with the clothes, beautiful, and all that stuff. Well, that's okay. That's symbolizing in a way, but just be noted. whatever is manifesting is the reality. If you interpret it this and that and this and that as a way, just be cautious to experience it and test it and convince. And that's the way I see it. And that's the point related to this word I mentioned at the beginning. Be sincere and truthful, empty-minded, no mind, no self. And then you realize you become one with the way of nature or Amida Buddha to come into your life beyond reason. You can think this is a bogus idea. It's up to you. Because word cannot pass on to convince. You or anyone may need to be convinced with the direct experience of it, beyond the word. Be sincere and truthful. That, I think, is a starting great place to start and end, if I may say so. Thank you.